Hello, hello. Welcome to Newbies to Movies. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Justin.
And this is a podcast where we like to talk about new movies. This week's theme of an actor, Ryan Gosling, one of the bigger names in Hollywood right now, specifically because he came out with a new movie, Project Hail Mary, which we will talk about throughout the podcast. First, we would like to start this podcast with doing a little connections game where we try to do, like, if you know New York Times connections, or 4 things to attach to like one specific like subject or hint or something. We'll do it, but with movies specifically. Last time we did this, it was extremely hard. So we're hoping that this one will go a little bit better. We got it last time.
It took us a while.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll say all the movies first. So it's Babylon, The Martian, The Hunt for Red October, Moneyball, Moby Dick, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, Master and the Commander, The Far Side of the World. Never seen that. $1 Million Baby, Speed, The Big Short, A Fistful of Dollars, The Squid and the Whale, Dumb Money, Suicide Squad, The Wolf of Wall Street, and Allegiant.
Yeah, this is gonna be rough.
Yeah.
Some big titles in here.
Yeah. Okay. So
there's like 4 or 5 movies I've never even heard of.
Yeah. So Pirates of the Caribbean, Hunt for Red October, The Squid and the Whale, I'm going to guess, has something to do with the water, and Moby Dick.
Yeah.
They're all like water-based.
That sounds pretty good.
Let's try. Oh, one away.
One away.
Which one it would be?
Thinking maybe, I don't know, this Master and Commander movie. Who knows if that has something to do with the ocean? Oh, there's the one about this, like, stock trading. Big Short, Wolf of Wall Street, Dumb Money, and
I'm thinking the word, like, money
involved
in the name, because Moneyball, $1 Million Baby, Dollar, and The Fistful of Dollars, and then Dumb Money.
Yeah, do that. Let's see.
Yeah.
Bang.
Alrighty. Martian. How does that fit in?
Probably nothing, but Margot Robbie is in Babylon and Suicide Squad.
And The Big Short.
She is in The Big Short as well. And she's in The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. Did you just... Awesome. So Margot Robbie was the other one for the Babylon, The Big Short, The Wolf of Wall Street, and Suicide Squad. Alrighty. The Martian, Moby Dick. Isn't Moby Dick? I've never read it. It's about a guy against a whale, pretty much, right?
Yeah, I think so.
What's Allegiant about?
I think you were on the right track with it being like ocean oriented. I don't know what Allegiant, Speed, or Master and Commander are about.
You try Moby Dick and the Master and the Commander. Whoa, we got it.
What is it? Take place on the sea.
Take place on the sea.
We were
I guess
Master.
Yeah, I guess The Squid and the Whale doesn't. What is that about? I don't know. And then the other one was Jeff Daniels. We would have never got that one.
Yeah, we wouldn't have gotten that. Oh, yeah, I know awesome. Jeff Daniels is, but I wouldn't have known he's in those other 3 movies.
Yeah.
Hold on, I gotta look up this. Yeah.
I want to see what The Squid is. It's an autobiographical comedy drama following 2 brothers as they navigate the emotional fallout of their parents' divorce. That's not...
Huh.
That's, definitely nothing to do with the sea.
Jesse Eisenberg's in there. Okay.
Yeah, Laura Linney.
Hey, we kind of did really good that time.
Yeah, we kind of cooked. Awesome. Cool, Justin, you want to start out with like something you've watched this week I want to talk about?
Yeah, I went and saw Project Hail Mary in IMAX. I think this is the 2nd weekend it's been out at the time we're filming this. I'm going to be honest, I've never seen a movie in IMAX, and I think it's going to ruin seeing regular movies for me. It was pretty amazing. The sound was amazing. The one thing I didn't like about the seats we were in, I had to like look over people's shoulders to see the bottom of the screen. It was the screen was that big, but really amazing movie. I wouldn't have probably picked a different movie besides maybe Interstellar to see the first time an IMAX movie. Yeah, pretty amazing movie too. I think you've seen it as well, and we're doing Ryan Gosling this week for that reason, but really well done story. I've never read the book, but I got a lot of like The Martian, Arrival, Interstellar vibes from it, and I really liked all those movies. So yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, I really liked it too. I saw it the day it came out, like the Thursday night. Also saw it in IMAX, and I thought it was really well done. There was a lot more kids in the theater than I thought there would be, just because The Martian was not. I mean, it was a funny film, but it very sciencey based. While this one, I think, stayed, because I read the book as well, Project Hail Mary, and the science of the book is really complicated. And I think it's a good idea for the movie to not go as sciencey into it. So it
Yeah.
can apply to a bigger audience, because if you get super into it, I think you lose a lot of people. I think they were really good at like during surface level, but then still being accurate in what they were doing
Yeah.
for the most part. I heard there were like some stuff in like the spaceship, like the way he was doing some of the stuff that it was like, I don't think it would work that way. Like, but I was like, okay, that's like a little bit nitpicking when we're talking about a movie with
Yeah.
where the life is. I really liked it. I thought it was a really good performance by him. At the end of the podcast, we're going to rank his performances. I'm interested to see where we put it, because I think this is also a very unique performance for him, which I think he is a very unique actor.
Yeah. And I know some people had some issues with the things they changed over from the book, but I thought it was pretty good from what I've heard people talk about with the book. Some small things, right? Like you said, the science. Also, there's a lot more taking place on Earth, kind of with like the world governments falling and into chaos, basically. Would have been cool to see, but I also like it from this perspective, right? He never really felt like he fit in on Earth, and now, spoiler alert, he feels like he has found somewhere to fit in. And then in the book too, I've heard that he kind of wants to stay on Irid, which is interesting.
I mean, you kind of see that at the end of it.
Hmm.
Spoilers. uh, um, I, adapting it from the book, I mean, it's a super long book. Books
Yeah.
are really hard to adapt to get all the details of it. That's why a lot of people say read the book, because if you want to get like a more detailed experience from it. I mean, the movie's already 2.5 hours. It's already a super long movie. There's not much else you can really add into it. Now, whether or not they could cut some stuff, there are like a lot of like long dude scenes out. Like, for example, when he first sees Rocky, I feel like that whole like entrance was like, they could have cut off like 5 minutes from that, and
Yeah.
it would have been just as effective. They're a little bit too much build up, you know?
Yeah.
But then it is what it is. Like, I still think a really good adaptation, you have to take out stuff when it comes to a book.
Yeah. I guess where was Bro when Arrival was happening, because he figured out how to talk to Rocky in like 2 minutes.
Yeah. For mine, I'm gonna like rank my top, since we're about 3 months into 2026. I wanted to rank my top 5 movies so far that I've seen. So far, I've seen 17 movies new this year. And starting off with number 5, I'm gonna rank Pretty Lethal. It's a horror action, more action based film that follows like a group of like 5 ballerinas that go to like, I think it's Hungary, and then
Mhm.
they're like surviving from like a mob that's trying to kill them. And then it's really cool because they're really good at being ballerinas, but then they like attach blades to the bottom of their feet, and as they're like doing their dances, they like cut each other, like cut guys' throats, and it's pretty dope. This is a really cool action film that I really didn't see being that good, but I watched it on one of my flights. Number 4, I have How to Make a Killing. It's the one with Glenn Powell. I saw
Mhm.
some really bad reviews about this film, but I personally really enjoyed it. It involves him like trying to get like a big trust, because like he's part of one of the richest families ever, but they kind of disown him. But in order to get that money, he ends up trying to kill everybody else in the family, because he's still owed that trust if everyone else dies in front of him.
Mhm.
I thought it was fun. Margaret Qualley's in it, so for that reason, I think you should check it out, Justin.
Big fan.
Number 3, I have The People We Meet on Vacation. It's a rom-com on Netflix. I really enjoyed it. I think Emily Bader and Tom Blythe's like romance in that is very realistic, or like very believing. And then also like I
Mhm.
think Emily Bader is just like a really talented actress, and I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was like a very classic like rom-com, like nothing too crazy, but like really good to watch. I've already rewatched it like 3 times because it's just a fun watch. Number 2 is 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. I gave this 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this film. The first one that came out last year, 28 Years Later, I enjoyed, but I saw it as a build-up film to where there wasn't a lot of like actual like conclusion from that film, where I was like nothing too exciting. And then this one,
Mhm.
you could see the build-up leading to something, and it really led to something. Ralph Fiennes, who we saw on Schindler's List as well, he's super
Yeah.
talented, and he's crazy in this. Jack O'Connell, who was just in Sinners last year, is another villain in this film. It's really good. The kid acting is incredible. Kind of a gory movie, but it's a zombie-based movie, so of course it's going to be
Yeah.
really gory. And then lastly, number 1 so far is Project Hail Mary. I also gave it 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed Project Hail Mary. Just like the cinematography at all, and then hearing how they directed it. It's all like realistic prosthetics as well. Like it's actually puppeteering with Rocky. It's not CGI. So like Ryan Gosling was actually like acting with that rock right there,
Yeah.
rather than like talking to like a tennis ball, like a lot of CGI does nowadays. Um, yeah, I was really impressed. Just like how it looked, it was just so cool. Such a cool film. I think there's some like plot hiccups there here and there, but like I feel like that's nitpicking on such like a fantastical movie.
Dude, I forgot to mention when we went and seen it, I heard at least 4 separate people walking out of the theater being like, "That was way too long." And I had no
Yeah,
issues with it. If anything, I was wanting, like, a little bit more.
interesting. Yeah, I feel like maybe I mean it's 2.5 hours. You have some people that definitely think it's a little too long. I just think like some scenes were definitely drawn out where they could have like not. I think
Yeah.
the cutting between different times I thought was really well done, but I've seen some reviews that didn't like it, like how they were cutting back and forth. They thought it didn't work, but I did. I thought Sandra Hüller, who plays like the lead German woman, I thought she was really good in it as well. Shout out Harry Styles song just coming up in the middle of the film. I was like, okay, yeah. Overall, I just really enjoyed it. Really good performance from Ryan Gosling as well.
And dude, we're, like, so blessed this year. Like, there's such good stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking about the Oscars for next year, and I'm like, "My god, it's gonna be a bloodbath."
Yeah. If I didn't see already, like, so many really like big titles coming out, who knows if they're going to all work? You never know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cause I mean, like, Nolan's missed before. So, like, I wouldn't be
Mhm.
surprised if, like, maybe he misses. Maybe he, like, but I doubt it. But maybe
I
some other
trust in
directors
Nolan.
miss. Yeah. Maybe some other directors miss. There's just so many big titles that you don't want to make predictions too early. But I'd be surprised with how much, like, Project Hail Mary is getting loved right now and the box office. That I wouldn't be surprised if it fits into, like, a, because it is early, just like Sinners was last year. I wouldn't be surprised if it fits into like a Sinners role or more so like a F1 role in the big picture race, where I think it has a good chance of getting nominated and then getting
Yeah.
some other below the line nominations.
Well, there's also stuff that always pops up, right? Like, I think this movie with Robert Pattinson and Zendaya is very intriguing. The drama, I have no idea what it's about based on the trailers, and I think that'll draw people in. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
I've heard part of what the plot's about, and I'm not going to give it away because I want you to go watch it yourself. It's going to be interesting to see how the public perceives it. What I've heard
Not,
is like
another
what
challengers for Zendaya.
um I think more controversial, way more controversial.
Okay.
For both of them. It's quite an interesting turn where like they're going to be part of like some of the biggest movies in the world this year. They're both going to be in Dune. One is going to be in Spider-Man. They're both going to be in the Odyssey. It's like,
Yeah.
and then they come out with this movie together that like just straight up like challenges like a lot of stuff. I heard
Okay.
there's one scene that, I mean, it comes out this next week. If I have time, I'm definitely going to go see it because
Hmm.
like they're two of my more anticipating actors right now that are working, and to see them like actually go out there and do a role while Euphoria is also coming out like that same weekend. Zendaya's just cooking this year too. She's got so much going on. She may be get nominated for an Oscar and 2 Golden Globes for lead actor or lead actress and lead actress in like a show as well. Like it's insane.
Has that ever happened? Like, has she been nominated for two? Has anybody ever been nominated for 2 movies in the same year?
So 2 movies, yes. Scarlett Johansson was for Jojo Rabbit and Marriage Story, 19. This most recent past year, Amanda Seyfried was nominated for Testament of Van Lee and a show. I forget the show name at the Golden Globes, but then she wasn't
Interesting.
nominated for either in the Emmy or Oscars, but it's insane.
Yeah.
Pattinson also may get some love at supporting actor because he's doing like 3 different supporting actor roles,
Yeah.
all very unique if you've seen them. It'd be cool to see Ryan Gosling get some love, but it's still super early. Super
Yeah.
early.
It's super
Too
early,
early to
and
call
this is
anything.
definitely like leaning towards more of a popcorn movie that I don't know that the Oscars will give as much love to.
Yeah, but that's what I thought about Michael B. Jordan last year, and then he ended up
Yeah.
coming back to win it. So you never know.
Yep.
And Matt Damon did get nominated for The Martian when that came out. So
That's true.
awesome.
I'm excited. Sorry, one more thing. They're working on, I guess this guy wrote The Martian, Project Hail Mary, and then a book called Artemis. I'm excited because apparently they're already working on that movie as well. So should be
That's
cool.
good. Yeah, it seems like they just pick good directors that like really care about like the the book and like really
Mhm.
adapting it well, and like they really go all in. Like The Martian was really, I mean, it was really Scott, so of course he went all in. That's what he's
Yeah.
known for. But yeah, that he was using like real life sets and all that, and I think that's what makes this film so good is that you could tell a lot of like the space shuttle and all that, that isn't CGI. Like those are real
Hmm.
sets that they're doing. He was like on lines while doing it in the space shuttle, which he said was like really hard to act at first because you're just constantly moving around in weird ways. But he thought it was really realistic as well.
Cool.
Awesome. So yeah, this week is Ryan Gosling. We decided to switch up. Originally, we were planning on doing someone else, but we decided to push her back because one of her films was like $20 on Amazon, and we were like, well, let's do Ryan Gosling right now because he's probably one of the biggest names for the next month because of this new movie, and hopefully in a month or two, that movie's either free or a lot cheaper. But yeah, so Ryan Gosling this week, he's a Canadian-based actor. He's 45 right now, but he really came out like started movies in the 2000s, so he's really been part of movies for the past 26 years. He started off with Remember the Titans and then has gone on a crazy run of like just going on different types of movies. I feel like there's not one role that's like the other. He just constantly switches up. Some movies are a miss, but like a lot of them, he brings something to them. What do you think of Ryan Gosling?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say him and Remember the Titans. He was talking about it this week with Jason and Travis Kelsey, and he was basically saying like I could get recognized for something, but somebody in the comments is gonna be like he's a liability at corner, dude.
I see that in every comment about him. It's like, yeah, this movie's good and all right, but like liability at corner, he just gets cooked.
It's so funny. No, I've just like been doing a lot of research on him as an actor this week. And honestly, I know people kind of crap on him for, doing some of these big blockbuster movies. You think of like Gray Man, people are calling him a sellout basically, but you start looking at all his movies that he's done and it's like, damn, every single one has like above an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like that doesn't happen by accident. And even the ones where he's the lead, the ones where he's a supporting actor, and the ones where he's in it for 20 minutes, it's like, it still hits for some reason. I'm not really sure why, but we have to start respecting him a little more, I feel like.
Yeah. I feel like he's just got so many good movies, and he saw for a little bit, which I was with like the First Man, the Gray Man, and then the Fall Guy. But it seems like he's coming back to his own. I mean, he's doing Star Wars next year. We'll see how that is. But like, I've seen Project Hail Mary and then Blade Runner. That's like, okay, I could see him doing really well in a Star Wars movie if it's done a certain way. It just depends on what the director's type, but they try to do like a dark Star Wars movie. He's kind of like the perfect guy for it. I really don't know any other big actor that could fit that well.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm excited
Yeah,
for that.
he's a very, very impressive like resume, and he's still like, I think still in his prime. He's still got a good
Hmm.
like 10 to like 20 years to like come out with different stuff. And I think that, yeah, like we just said, Project Hail Mary just adds on to that. But the two movies that we did this week are like kind of right at the beginning of his like crazy run here. I would say 2006 when he did Half Nelson. And of course, Notebook came out in 2004. That was his big like coming out film, I feel like. And then Half Nelson was like, oh wow, he can do like a serious film. And then he just starts rattling off these different types of films where he's just playing completely different kind of characters. Yeah. So first, we're gonna do Drive, the movie that came out in 2011. So Justin, if you want to take it.
Yeah. I didn't really know where to fit this in, but damn, that opening scene was so tough and it misled me so much because I thought this was about to be like just your cheesy Fast and the Furious action driving movie. And that looked so cool. But I really enjoyed the plot because the plot was heavily driven on not being a lot of dialogue. It was very, I don't know, up to the viewer's interpretation of the plot oriented. And so it kind of follows Ryan Gosling as a driver and skilled stuntman, and he's a getaway driver, like a getaway driver for hire for criminals. And he's been kind of warming up to his new neighbor, her and her young son, Benicio, and her husband's currently in jail. Once he gets out, he kind of works with Ryan Gosling to go on a heist of his own to kind of pay back some bad people. And the driver just gets himself in a really bad situation, and yeah, it just kind of goes downhill from there. But overall, I gave the plot an 8. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I don't think the plot was all that convoluted, other than like kind of like the mob connection.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it was a little bit like confusing about like, wait, so like, why are they in so much big trouble? It kind of connects it in a way where he's like, well, I stole from this guy because it was a good opportune time, but then hired like hired a fake heist for us to get it back, or for us to look like we got it back, but then like ended up not hiring the right person because the driver is really good at his job, pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah. But I thought the plot was really well done. And it's interesting that you say that like it was not really reliant on dialogue, which I really enjoyed as well. Because quite different from most action films where you get like a lot of cheesy lines. Nothing against John Wick. I think John Wick's really fun movie, but like John Wick has a lot of like very cheesy lines that could fit into a movie like Drive really well. But like, I'm glad that it didn't. It kind of
Yeah.
stands apart in that way.
Yeah, there was so many times where I was sitting there and I got to come up with kind of my own interpretation of what was going on because Ryan Gosling was just staring stoically at the room. So you kind of have to sit there and figure out what he's thinking based on what everybody else is saying, which I thought was really cool and interesting way to go about doing the movie, which we'll get into that with dialogue. But the characters I gave an 8. I thought the characters were all pretty drawn out and well done. I think it kind of has, you have to have like a prior understanding of, I don't know, just mobs and gangs in general. Like you kind of know Bryan Cranston's just kind of a money junkie. He just thinks that every business he's going to start is going to go do really well.
Yeah.
For Isaac, obviously, him and Ryan Gosling's character have a lot in common. I think they're both
Yeah.
good guys who do some bad things sometimes. And it's about them kind of trying to get themselves out of those sticky situations for his wife and his son. And then Christina Hendricks' character was kind of only in it for a couple minutes, but I thought overall the characters were good and I gave it an 8.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Ryan Gosling's performance in this, specifically as the driver. You could see where he used a lot of this kind of character that he built in Blade Runner, I feel like. I feel like
Yeah.
that's a direct like connection of characters. And then Carey Mulligan, I thought was really intriguing. This is right after she came out with a movie that she got nominated for an Oscar. It was like, so she was like kind of a big name at the point, but then is a very side character in this film. Oscar Isaac is also a pretty big name. Maybe not at this point in his career when this movie came out, but now he is. And to see him as like a very side character, Bryan Cranston, this is like Breaking Bad, like breakout days. And he plays this like kind of weak character, I would
Hmm.
say, like a businessman that kind of just goes wrong. But then also like the driver takes a chance, trying to help out this family, the wrong person to try to help. But he did it all because he loves the woman, Irene.
Yeah. Getting into cinematography, this movie looked really amazing, very neo noir aesthetic of LA. I thought it was a very effective use of light. Seen this one guy talking about how if this movie was made like 2 years later, LA switched all their streetlights to LEDs so it wouldn't have looked any cooler. It would have looked pretty like bland and drawn out. But the use of light in this film really stood out to me. And then just using the natural street lighting, yeah, it made like kind of like a dream-like atmosphere, like I guess more like a nightmare scenario. But I just thought it looked really cool. I gave it a 9.
Yeah, I mean, Gosling somehow finds like some of the best cinematographers out there and just like decides to like film a movie with them. I found a lot from a lot of his filmography. He knows how to pick a movie and then also knows how to pick a movie that looks really well. And this movie is just definitely one of those, especially for a lower budget film compared to the other films in his filmography. But they really use already the lights of LA. We were talking about before recording this how he really likes LA type of films. La La Land is a big LA film, but this is like the other side of LA. And not as like a bright and shiny in your face kind of LA, but more of like a dark LA that's like behind the scenes kind of thing going on. And not everything's bright and rainbows over here. It's actually like some dark stuff goes on in like big cities like that.
Don't forget Blade Runner too.
Yep.
Um, and then getting into dialogue, I gave it a 9. I thought the dialogue was pretty amazing in this movie. More or less kind of the effective use of non-dialogue. I think a lot of scenes really sit with the viewer in that sense. One of my favorites being when he was in the elevator with Irene and he stomps the guy's head in on the elevator floor. They're just kind of staring at each other for 2 minutes before she walks out and just leaves. It's like so effective at really making the viewer think to themselves, hey, what's each character thinking here rather than being told what to think. I thought that was really good. And then my favorite line from the movie was using actual dialogue was when he's sitting down with Benicio and they're watching cartoons. He says, is that the bad guy? And Benicio says, yeah. The driver says, how can you tell? Because he's a shark. And then driver says, well, there's no good sharks. I think that's really important for pretty much all the characters in this movie. A lot of good people that just end up in some bad situations doing some bad things, which, yeah, it kind of led the plot of that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that with like Oscar Isaac, Bryan Cranston and the driver, Ryan Gosling's character, all three of them are good guys, catching themselves in bad situations that turn awry, all because of the real bad guy, Ron Perlman's character, really doing something really bad that ends up having to take a bunch of people's life and even his own.
And then the set design, I gave it an 8. I thought it was pretty great. Obviously, we were just talking about LA, kind of just leaned into the urban lighting, very bright pops of color, very minimalist and very stylish locations, obviously set in LA. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, and then also like the panning around, especially during the violent scenes, or even like, for example, the slowing down in the elevator where like they like connect to each other, they kiss, and it goes right into him like fighting, but it's like kind of in slow motion as it's happening. I thought it was really cool as well. That may be more part of like editing, but I think just a lot of like very like on the point where like stuff is happening, but you're focused on Ryan Gosling's character's face. And then also some of the driving scenes were really cool too, where they're like low level at the wheel length. That were pretty impressive.
And then for acting, I gave it an 8. I thought Ryan Gosling's performance really stood out. Masterclass in minimalism. Obviously, we talked about the dialogue and him not having to talk as much, but very subtle tension, silence, and nonverbal storytelling. I looked it up. He had only 116 lines of dialogue, which might seem like a large number, but it's not for an hour and 45-minute movie. Very, very good job at focusing on intense stares, and damn, can this guy stare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, like you're coming from Remember the Titans and The Notebook. He does like some, I mean, Half Nelson, maybe you can see some like resemblance of like a serious drama kind of character. But this just resembles like how talent and how like his range as an actor is very impressive. And like you said, minimalistic performance from him. Right when the movie was like in development, the director reached out to Ryan Gosling really early on. So there really was no other options for the director. He really wanted him and went with him down the road. And then the other actors were added on as they were going.
Yeah, so I heard this movie originally was supposed to be a different director and Hugh Jackman, and it was supposed to be kind of more of a cheesy Fast and the Furious style action movie. Then for whatever reason, the studio dropped him, switched to this director, and this director knew he wanted Gosling, which is pretty neat.
Yeah. So what I'm reading up is that Platt contacted Ryan Gosling about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was strongly attached to the plot and the lead role. And then, yeah, they dropped Jackman and the director. Then Gosling signed on for the lead role, and then he was allowed to choose the director. And that's when he chose Nicholas Refn, which I thought was quite interesting. But
Yeah,
Gosling was like a very critical part of like the whole process. Really, like right after Hugh Jackman and Marshall got canned.
Yeah, cool. Directing, getting into that, I gave it an 8. Very, very good job at kind of setting the atmosphere and the mood right from the get-go. I mean, that opening scene was pretty cool. And I've read that he kind of blended like a European art house style with American genre filmmaking, which is neat. I don't know much about this director. I mean, I don't see any real other movies that are like, oh, he did that one. It's kind of just, this is it for him.
Yeah, he does another one with Ryan Gosling, Only God Forgives. I haven't seen it, but
Yeah.
maybe it'd be interesting to check out just because them back together. He seems to be really like into like action type of films, but also really focusing on like natural lighting and then as well as character studies.
Yeah. Getting into soundtrack, I'm going to add in sound design as well, because we watched this in Madison's room, and I guess Madison's dad was opening the windows upstairs because he thought there was like a car chase going on. But using the sound design and the soundtrack, I think the soundtrack did a really amazing job, especially when we talked about kind of the lack of dialogue. It used the soundtrack to kind of push forward narratives while the viewer was kind of thinking about what the characters have going on in their heads, which I thought was a great thing.
Yeah, the soundtrack and sound effects is just really impressive in this film. Yeah, the different blends of electronic and retro music throughout, and then even like the silence deafening kind of sound when like he's doing action kind of scenes I thought was also really impressive. When the two guys break into like the hotel room, it kind of deafens when he beats up the guy in the elevator. It deafens, kind of resembling how he's going to fight or flight mode, and like himself, he's not listening to anything else, and he's kind of deaf to everything. He's just focused on like what he's got to do.
Yeah. Another cool part of the soundtrack was the opening scene when he had the Clippers blasting on the radio call.
Yeah.
And, I'm thinking like, oh, this guy's a big Clippers fan or something. And then come to find out, he just wanted to know exactly when the game was ending to pull into the Clippers
Yeah.
Staples Center parking lot and hide in a sea of people, basically, which was so tough and so well designed.
Yeah, that right when that started off, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. He's pretty
Yeah.
good at his job. Like this guy's a pretty good driver.
I mean, even the criminals in the back are like, what is he doing? Like, radio's on 20 right now. It's blasting. Clippers
Yeah.
game. All I'm hearing is Blake Griffin goes for the dunk. And I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, when I said Blake Griffin, I was like, oh wow, the Lob City Clippers while this was filmed.
Niche pull, dude. Let's go. For the themes, I gave it an 8. Not as impressive as some of the themes I've seen in a lot of his others movies being really pushed home. Some things I really took from it were, it's him being such a quiet protagonist and a driver at night, kind of his repressed emotions, I guess, and also him being kind of that modern night protagonist like we've seen in Blade Runner. And then the inevitability of one's nature, right? He kind of can't escape doing bad things. And I think he feels that way. We see that when he's in the bar with that guy and the guy offers him another job. And he's like, get out of my face. He doesn't really want to do the bad things, but he feels like he has to protect good people. I think the themes were good. I think they could have been drawn out a little more. I wouldn't have minded 30 more minutes in this movie to learn a little bit more about his character, maybe.
Yeah, I think maybe that's a part of the film though. Like that's why he's
Yeah.
called the driver, and you never really get his name. There's supposed to be this ominous feeling about him. It's kind of I think that his character is very similar to like a lot of like cowboy characters back in like Western movie
Mhm.
times, like Clint Eastwood type of characters, very similar. Like the man with no name, where you're not supposed to figure out his name. And rather he's just doing stuff because he's really good at it and he makes no apologies for it as he's going throughout this film. I think this is like an interesting, I wouldn't say a direct like Western, but very Western type of film to where
Mhm.
he is like this anti-hero.
Yeah. That, and I think, so much of his character is quiet because it's left up for viewer interpretation, right? That was kind of the main goal, was just let the viewer come up with ideas about him. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? And let them argue about it so we get 100
Yeah.
million views on this.
He's just like Deadpool. He's not good or bad.
Yeah. Editing, I gave it a 9. I thought it was highly stylized. Editing style was done by Matthew Newman, and obviously the director. Very slow burn, kind of like I mentioned earlier, looks like a bad dream, and I thought that was really well done.
Yeah. I think talked about it already before with like the sound effects editing as well as part of it. And then also then transitions, the editing styles with adding different parts of the music in, but then also like different character studies. Like I just think overall the editing was really well done.
Yeah, and my overall score I gave was a 8.4 out of 10 or an 84. I really enjoyed this movie. Definitely super rewatchable, I feel like, too. You can always kind of go back and turn this on. It's a fun watch.
Yeah. I gave it 8.2 out of 10 or 82 out of 100. So I also really enjoyed this film. Really impressive film by him. I'm surprised I haven't seen this until now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a theory that the driver actually drives off and then becomes a high school or middle school teacher and named Ryland Grace. So his name is actually Ryland Grace the whole time. And then he goes and saves the world 10 years later.
I did like how that ending was, though, because I mean, Bryan Cranston's character kind of talked about it, how he just randomly showed up one day. It's like, it makes you wonder how long he's been doing this. Was he doing this in San Francisco before and got in a sticky situation, and now he's doing it in LA, or now he's going to San Jose or something? Like, he's just moving around doing this constantly.
He's going to Albuquerque and then he's going to see Walter White again. He's going to be like, wait a second.
You got a brother?
Yeah, you got a brother. He's like, hey, I'm the cook. He's like, oh no, the last time the cook didn't work out so well. Awesome. Cool. Yeah. So the other movie that we're doing this week is Place Beyond the Pines. Kind of like a really big cast kind of movie. So the cast is actually kind of insane. So it's Ryan Gosling, Bradley Cooper, Eva Mendes, Rose Byrne, Mahershala Ali, and then Ben Mendelsohn, Ray Liotta, and then some of the kid actors. I don't really know the names all that well. I remember one of them that I'll bring up a little bit later. But the plot follows three different characters as going through time. So it first starts with Ryan Gosling's character as he figures out or he's like a stunt driver for the circus at this point. Then he figures out like a girl that he hooked up with the summer before has a kid and it's his. So he wants to stay there and like earn money for them. But the only way he really sees how is through his sketchy friend who they randomly see each other in the woods. And he's like, hey, come work for me. And then he starts doing heists for him. But then he becomes addicted to that adrenaline. And then he starts doing it on his own, gets caught in trouble. And that's when Bradley Cooper's character slightly comes in to the movie where they barely interact with each other, but impact each other's lives for the rest of their lives, pretty much. I don't want to give off too many spoilers, but then it crosses to Bradley Cooper's character based off of interactions that they have right away. Followed Bradley Cooper's character as he figures out that the police force actually isn't all that like structured and good. And he has to fight kind of like the good and evil of the world, but he ends up getting the good stick out of the situation by throwing the other police officers under the bus. Honestly, I think he does the right thing in the film and he ends up doing the good thing. And then it cuts to 15 years later, the son of Ryan Gosling and the son of Avery Cross, of Bradley Cooper's character, meeting up with each other. And then Ryan Gosling's character, or son, figures out like the whole situation that happened and then goes after him, and then it kind of leads to like the end of. So it's an interesting film. I didn't really expect that when I first came in, to follow three different characters. And I also, like, spoiler alert before we reveal it, Ryan Gosling to die off like that. I was literally shocked. I was like, wait a second, did that just happen? I was like, he's on the cover. I didn't think he was just gonna die like that.
Yeah. I mean,
What'd you
it
think of the
definitely
plot?
felt long because you're basically breaking up three acts into three short films that all connect together. Very interesting and very ballsy way to go about making a movie, but I think it was super well done, especially really connecting it all together at the end with their teenage sons. I thought it was really well done, and I think the acting really carried through a lot of this movie. I think everybody acted well except for the kids. Specifically, Bradley Cooper's son is not a good actor, and I'm not surprised we haven't seen him in anything else ever.
No, Bradley Cooper's son is probably the weak point of the final act. I would say the final act, if it was better done, I think the movie would be a lot higher rating for me. I think the final act itself, it's just not the best acted, and that's what really takes away from me personally. I think Ryan Gosling's son is pretty well acted. I just don't think he's working with a lot, especially when they're doing scenes with each other and the other guy's just giving him literally nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that actor Dane DeHaan, he was also in Chronicle with Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
I really like Chronicle. I thought he was really good in that. But then he starts doing like the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
Green Goblin.
Really bad. He's really bad in those. And then he does like the weird movie Valerian and A City of a Thousand Planets, the one with what's her name, Cara Delevingne, and one of the worst movies. And then I haven't seen him since.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, the plot is very convoluted, I would say, where like you definitely could get lost a little bit, especially at the end. I think I just don't get it. He never knew his dad, and I guess maybe he sees like all his hardships, the reason why he did die, and that's why he wants to get back to that family. But he doesn't really know all that happened. All he knows is like his dad died after stealing from a bank, and then he wants to like come get revenge for that, where it's like, okay, like you think that his mom would not raise him being like, your dad was a really good guy. It's like,
Yeah.
your dad had like some problems. All right. I don't know, but overall I gave the plot an 8 out of 10 just because I think it is a really hard story to adapt, and I really like the first two. The first part of the three, but just following Ryan Gosling's character, I really liked. I think it carries the film. It really buys you into the film. His character is really intriguing as a person as well, because he's trying to do the right thing, which is saying a lot about a lot of his characters. He's trying to do the right thing, putting himself out on the line. Again, good or evil, kind of in between kind of thing. Comes addicted to like the thrill of it all, but then also makes a really poor choice of like hitting the guy that's trying to house like his baby mama and his son, and then hits him with like a big wrench. But yeah.
No, and I think it was really impressive to even be able to pull this off, because if that first act fails, the whole movie is nothing. Like,
Yeah.
Thank God it was the third act, because that was the worst, I guess you would say. I don't even think it was bad, but I understand what you're saying. It's kind of a stretch, I guess. Why would he even care about what was going on with his dad? But yeah, it was, if that first act falls, the whole movie falls hard.
Yeah. Um, Getting into characters, I really enjoyed Ryan Gosling's character, obviously Luke, and then as well as Avery, played by Bradley Cooper. I really enjoyed both of them because it's quite interesting to see different types of dynamics of two different guys. One's like trying to earn for his family, and then they literally interact with each other for 5 seconds. And it's kind of like an instinct thing where like Avery doesn't do anything bad. He reports it badly right after. Like he should have told him what happened where he shot first. But it's also like one of his, they just said he was new to the force. Why is he by himself in the first place? Why would he be patrolling by himself? And there's no way in any world that I know. I don't know much about the police, but when you're patrolling within the first couple months, I'm pretty sure you're not by yourself. You're with a partner. But anyways, he's doing that. And then like instinct is like, this guy has a gun pointed at me. I'm going to shoot him.
Mm-hmm.
He shoots him and then he ends up killing him, having to lie because if not, he like ruins his whole career based off of like an instinct thing. So we're like, yeah. And then seeing Avery like having to deal with that with the rest of his life, where even that he pays for him and like helps out that family and even has his back to not get him arrested when he should have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Avery's a bad character. Like I don't think he's a bad person. I think put in really bad situations and like the police force was super corrupt.
Yeah, police force corrupt, but also I think the guilt was eating him alive too, and that just caused him to make another bad decision after another bad decision, which led him down that road, but he eventually kind of cleaned himself up, but it still comes back to haunt him.
Yeah. Yeah. The guilt of like, again, it wasn't on purpose. It was like accidentally killing a person while you're in the line of duty. So cinematography, I gave it 8 out of 10. Again, the first act of the film, the cinematography is like top notch. It's like really cool following him on those like bike chases, and then as well like right at the beginning of the film when he like it shows his back tats as he's like walking up into it. I was like, oh okay, I'm sat for this kind of movie. And then the back half of the film, I'm like, they're kind of being not as intriguing with like the way they're filming the movie, and that for me kind of took it away. It's like a more normal kind of movie toward the back half. While the first half, you could tell they're going balls to the walls and like really going for it.
Yeah. I thought it was cool too, the kind of mirroring shots between him and his son in the beginning of the movie, him doing it, and then obviously his son being of age and kind of doing some similar stuff with his life and kind of going down that path too.
Yeah. The dialogue I really enjoyed as well. To where I don't think anything really stood out in a way where I was like, yeah, this is really good lines, but very believable lines.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like the talking in between like him and his baby mom, girlfriend, whatever they were trying to get at that point. Like he's like, I want to be around the kid, but she's like, I don't know, like you don't seem like the most put together guy, and I really need someone to be put together if I'm gonna raise a kid. But then he's like, I'm gonna show you, but then like goes down a weird path. One of my favorite lines is done by Robin, which is like Ben Mendelsohn's like the kind of weird guy who he finds in the woods and then helps him out, or like not really helps him out, kind of leads him to his death. But if you ride like lightning, you're going to crash like thunder. And this is like right before he ends up doing the heist by himself. And that kind of ends up ruining him. That was one of my favorite lines just because it kind of foreshadowed what happened, but you don't really notice it because you're like, no way they're going to kill off Ryan Gosling this early.
Yeah.
He's the cover of the poster, and then he dies. And then, but also like the first 30 minutes, I was like, where's Bradley Cooper? I was like, Bradley Cooper, this is a year after he gets nominated for an Oscar and you tell me he's not in the movie. Like he's a side piece to the movie, and then they just interact for 5 minutes. What do you think about the dialogue? Anything to note?
Nah, I mean, I think the dialogue was good. Like you said, believable. Nothing really stood out to me, though, as being like crazy. I think a lot of it, again, it's kind of not left up for the viewer, but there's never really any lines from Bradley Cooper that make us feel the guilt, but you understand he's feeling guilty, right? Which I think a lot of this movie is that kind of the viewer having to understand what's going on around the person to feel what they're going through, which is cool.
Yeah. He doesn't say anything because he's holding it all with himself, which I think Cooper does a pretty good like face acting wise, to where you could tell that he's feeling guilt within his face without actually expressing himself at all, and ends up leading to like why he divorces his wife at that point, because even though he tries to correct everything, he doesn't tell her anything about any of it, and like that pretty much breaks the trust in between them.
Exactly.
Acting, I gave it 8 out of 10. Again, taking away from the bottom third of the film, or like the third part of the film, I think took away the acting for me. But when I saw Ryan Gosling and Bradley Cooper, I was really looking forward to like scenes with them two, like clashing back and forth. And there
Yeah.
was none of that. And I was like, oh, dang it. I was like,
One
dang.
big clash.
Yeah, one big clash. And then that was it. And I was like, man, they're not going to be in the film with each other at all anymore. I was like, that's a little disappointing. But as well as Ava Mendes. So maybe you know this, but this is when they first met each other. And then
Mhm.
Ryan Gosling is famous for saying, like, right after this film, he's like, I couldn't imagine having a child with anyone else. And then now they're married and they have children with each other. And I was like, after seeing this film, I was like, this film doesn't give off romantic vibes compared to like some other films that he's done. But
Yeah.
I guess he just saw her with like a kid that kind of looks like his, and he's like, yep, that's my woman. And Ryan Gosling did Ryan Gosling things, and now he's married.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting too. I mean, everybody talks about it a lot, but I guess she took a big step away from acting to kind of, be a stay-at-home mom. Every speech Ryan Gosling wins something, he's thanking her unbelievably just because, he couldn't do it without her really taking care of the family and letting him live his dream that way, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's some other big actors in this. Like Mahershala Ali's like a side character in this, but a 2-time Oscar winner, just as like the boyfriend,
Yeah.
stepdad situation.
Yeah.
Ben Mendelsohn, he was in Rogue One. He's been in a couple other things
Mhm.
as well. Rose Byrne as the wife of Bradley Cooper's character. I was like, I didn't expect her to see her in this as well.
Yeah.
We're after a big year. But yeah, sound effects, I gave a 9 out of 10. I think both films did really well at using like the sound effects like a positive way to add to like the themes of the film
Mhm.
without taking away from it as well, but adding it rather. What did you
Yeah.
think?
No, I agree. I mean, I think everything was really cool. There's one specific scene where I forgot what Ryan Gosling was doing, but it transitioned into him robbing a bank and the music just like cut really fast. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, there's just a lot of like cool, unique things. Whenever he does like some chase sequences throughout his different types of films where that happens, it seems like either he finds people that are really good at it or he has like some touch to it because they're all just really well done with like cutting music into like what's actually going on within the story itself. Like I could just think of Blade Runner as well, of having a scene very similar to like that. And then even
Mhm.
small things in Project Hail Mary as well, even a spaceship. Set design, I thought it was nothing special, so I gave it a 7 out of 10. It was just, I mean, I forget actually where this film is technically placed. In Schenectady, where is that? Pennsylvania somewhere? New York. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, this is like backwoods New York. You don't really get to see much of it other than it does feel like a small town of
Yeah.
Northeast, like the United States, and that's why Avery or Bradley Cooper's character jumps 15 years later and he's like running for a big office appointed position.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, I think the set design looked fine. Nothing, like you said, really stood out. I thought the bike scenes were always cool with him, kind of zooming through the town, kind of maneuvering his way around to kind of trick the police and coming after him. I thought that looked really cool.
I thought directing, I gave it 8 out of 10 just because it is a very ambitious kind of story to go after.
Mhm.
3 different storylines of 3 different really focuses of people on them. So I gave it a little bit up for that. I think the back half or the last third of the film was a little not done as well as the first 2, but still really well done.
I agree. I think, like we talked about, it's really ambitious. If that first act doesn't hit, movie falls down really fast. And I think it was generally pretty well done.
So he directed Blue Valentine before this, also with Ryan Gosling, The Light Between Oceans. And then you'll enjoy this. He wrote Sound of Metal. He co-wrote it.
Nice. Yeah,
And
I
then
feel a very similar vibe to that movie.
Yeah. And then he directed and wrote Roof Man, which came out this past year with Channing Tatum. Other than that, he like takes a couple of years. Like he's not one of those directors comes out with a film like every other year. Kind of waits a little bit, lets whatever comes to him kind of develop. Editing, I gave it 8 out of 10. Very similar things to when we talked about sound effects of cutting back and forth. But even like within the scenes of the characters themselves cutting across, especially like when they're conversating and it's cutting, this may get into cinematography, but I think it's also part of editing, where they're conversating with each other, but then it like kind of pans around and then cuts to each other's faces as it's talking. and
Yeah.
the escalation is top. Lastly, the theme, I gave it a little higher rating than Drive because I think these were more like family generational like grief, but then also
Yeah.
generational like things that hold up with you. Like this affected two generations of their lives based off of a 5 second interaction, and how grief and not getting over something that really wasn't his fault, it was just his first instinct, can really lead you down to like a certain path. And also like, again, themes of like good versus evil and what exactly do those both look like.
Yeah, I mean, I took away basically just thinking like, generations might be able to seek to outrun their past, but they're often kind of bound to the inherited guilt and social classes that predetermined their path long ago, which is pretty interesting. And it's interesting to see two sides of that coin told and how they connect to each other.
Awesome. So overall, I gave it a 7.9 out of 10 or 79 out of 100. I enjoyed both movies and I could see myself coming back to both. Slightly like Drive a little bit better than Place Beyond the Pines. Just because honestly, I think Ryan Gosling's like the standout of the film for this movie again. Obviously, the other one, he's like the star, but this one, he's like kind of co-starring it with Bradley Cooper. But I think the first third is my favorite part of the film. If I rewatch anything the most, it'd probably be the first third of the film.
Yeah, I agree. I like the first part the best too, and we're pretty dialed. I give it a 8.0 out of 10, 80. I enjoyed this movie too. I think it would be a little bit harder to come back to just as it felt really long. It felt like three separate movies, which was interesting. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed it.
Awesome. So yeah, that concludes like the movies that we watched this week, specifically pertaining to the actor Ryan Gosling. Again, one of the bigger actors out there right now. Just came out Project Hail Mary. You should probably go check that out. But now we're going to do the exercise of ranking his top 10 films for us of all time, at least that we've seen. I think there's going to be some exclusions of stuff that we haven't seen that we may get hated on for not putting in there. But so we're going to rank top 10. It's going to be two teams, or like that we have to spin the wheel to see what we get. Team A is going to get picks 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 10. And then B gets 2, 4, 6, and 8. And then we'll spin the wheel. And then A gets 1 veto while B gets 2 vetoes. Click it to see who gets to choose which team they want to be on. Let's go. Okay. I got the first one, or I won the wheel. So I'll go with I think I'm going to go with team A.
Okay.
Because they get picks 9, 10, 7, 5, 3, and 1, but one's kind of already selected for you, unless you just decide to do something crazy. It's like, never mind. Fall Guy, number 1. Okay, cool. So I'll start off. So, Justin, you have 2 vetoes. I only have 1.
Yep.
Starting off with number 10. So I think we've all seen the same movies other than Half Nelson. I saw this morning, and you haven't seen that one. And I don't think you've seen The Notebook.
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
All right. Before we start, what movies have you seen by him? Let's start with that. Before I start with.
I've seen, all the big ones. I think
Okay.
all the movies I've seen.
I'll list off ones I've seen: Project Hail Mary, Drive, Nice Guys, Blade Runner, Half Nelson, La La Land, Place Beyond the Pines, Barbie, Big Short, Crazy Stupid Love, Notebook, Remember the Titans, and Fall Guy.
Yeah, I've seen all of those except Half Nelson.
Okay, cool. Number 10, I personally like this character a little bit more than his other rom-com character, so I'm going to go with Crazy Stupid Love at number 10.
That's a good pick there. Good movie.
I think it's a better rom-com or a better romantic movie, because I don't think Notebook is really a rom-com. I don't think there's many funny parts to that movie.
Really sad, actually.
I think it's a better romance movie than The Notebook. I have some problems, not necessarily with Ryan Gosling's character, but with Allie in The Notebook. I just don't really like. But yeah, Crazy Stupid Love. We talked about it on the rom-com movie, not like in depth, but we both really brought it up because we really enjoy like the cutting of different relationships and what that means. This is like the cornerstone of Emma Stone and his connection.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Alrighty. Where am I going to go next? So with your 2 vetoes, I feel like you can kind of dominate this the way that you want it to go. I'm going to go, I know where I want to go, but I have a feeling you have something ranked a lot higher than I do. That's all right. I'll wait to get that out of the way. I'm going to go with The Big Short here.
Yeah.
I think very similar character as in Crazy Stupid Love, very similar acting styles, and for both kind of this cocky guy that knows it all, kind of just talking out of his ass from
Yeah.
both movies. That's why I think they're good to go back to back with each other, because I think they're just both so similar. I just like Big Short better than Crazy Stupid Love.
Yeah, I mean, with The Big Short too, he's not like the main character. He's just kind of a
Yeah,
pivotal part in the story. Yeah, I mean, I get putting it here. It's a good
yeah,
movie. It's just not involving him 100% either.
yeah.
All right, I don't know where you're going with this. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take The Notebook at number 8.
Well, you're not including Half Nelson, so like that's the only thing.
Yeah. I just don't see a way we can leave this off the list. Kind of really kicked off his mainstream acting career, and such a big movie. I mean, it's still, people talk about it all the time today.
So we're ranking Ryan Gosling's top 10 performances, not his top 10 movies.
I know.
I'm gonna do it already. Then I'm vetoing this.
Dang,
I
okay.
don't want this on the list.
Got rid of that one fast. I think he was really good in this movie.
I just think there's like the other 8 movies he's just that much better.
All right, I'll take A Place Beyond the Pines.
Yeah, I don't mind that being here. He's so much better than this.
All right, man.
If we get hate, it should be from women that love The Notebook, and I'm like, good for you, but like, it's a flawed romantic.
I think
movie.
I see what you have way higher than me now.
Well, way higher. I also have this next one way lower, which I already know you're gonna veto, but I have next La La Land.
Yeah, get that shit out of here. What the hell? Is this a joke?
Yeah, I mean, I already knew you were gonna veto it, but cool. So next up for me, I guess I'll just do it here. Number 7, I'm gonna go with Barbie.
Yeah, that's what I thought you had way higher than me.
Yeah,
It was fine to me.
I think he's really good in Barbie. I think playing a really good, interesting character again. Where like quite of a choice for his career, where he's kind of just playing like the punching bag. I mean, I guess he kind of does play the punching bag in a lot of his movies, low key, but he's kind of known for that for some of his bigger roles. I mean, he won an Oscar for best original song for it. So
Yeah, that's true. All right. Number 6, I'm going to take Drive. Obviously, we talked about it a lot.
I think for me, these like top 6 are all very interchangeable, to where it's just up to like what you think.
Yeah.
Because I think they're all
I think his
very
character was
impressive.
really good in Drive. Obviously, the lack of dialogue, but that makes is what makes his character so interesting. I actually had Drive at 5 on my personal list, so we're close enough.
Yeah, I personally had it at number 2, but I can't use a veto anymore because I really didn't want that other movie on the list, The Notebook. All right, number 5. Gonna take another veto here already. No, but yeah.
Yeah, that's see ya.
Okay, so now we're both done with vetoes. So number 5 for me is gonna be Half Nelson.
Okay.
So this is after The Notebook, but this is like his first film, in my opinion, where people actually take him super serious as an actor. And they're like, oh, wow. Not just do you have this like charisma, but you can show like this range. He plays like a drug addict in the film, but he's also a school teacher. The parts where he can still bring Ryan Gosling like charisma, he does as like a teacher. And it's like this relationship with one of the kids, as she has a really bad family situation at home. Not many people, and then like trying to bring her into the drug life of selling. But he's also reeling, or like not really reeling, just like battling through addiction because it is a disease. Quite an interesting film. Not a rewatchable film, but really good.
I have to check it out for sure. I was going to try and watch it last night, just ran out of time. So maybe I'll do that after the show today. Number 4, I'm going to take The Nice Guys. Very Ryan Gosling style of character here. You know, good dad, but not necessarily the smartest or brightest in his decision making, which makes it so funny. I really do love this movie. I think this is probably one of his most rewatchable movies ever. I can just turn this on and watch it anytime.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, Nice Guys and probably Project Hail Mary in like a year or two is going to be his most rewatchable films out of any of them. The Nice Guys, I didn't get to rewatch it this week. I may watch it later today just because I love the Nice Guys. And he's playing a comedy role, which is really hard for dramatic actors to be able to pull off, being like actually as funny as he is in that film. And he's like, the clash between him and Russell Crowe are so good.
And the daughter, dude. The daughter's so funny. All right, take it off the board.
Yep.
Even
number
though it's
3,
my
I'm going to
one.
put La La Land. I mean, I really like this performance from him in this film. I just think Emma Stone is like just so much. I'm not gonna say better. It's just like she is like the film for me compared to him.
I think you need to rewatch it, man. I take it the 100% the other way around.
Really? Well,
Yes.
I think the Academy sees it the other way, but but nah, I still like La La Land. We talked about it on the podcast a while back. Again, a really interesting performance from him because he's changing up from like doing Drive kind of role, and then he does Blade Runner after this, but then he does like where he's actually a pretty talented singer. He was like an artist for a little bit. Him and his buddy came out with like an album, and they like did a couple tours. But yeah,
All right. Number 2, I'm taking Project Hail Mary. Yeah. I think this is going to be looked at as one of his best roles ever. Obviously, it just came out, but I need a little more time to sit with it. I definitely need to rewatch it too. And I think La La Land and Number 1 are just better in my opinion.
yeah. I mean, I really like Project Hail Mary. The difference between this and La La Land and Nice Guys is he is the film. Like
Mhm.
they cut to him and like Sandra Hüller, kind of, but the whole film he's talking to a puppet, and it's like super charismatic the entire film. And then as well as like he brings emotion into Rocky itself, and super just a really impressive role because like based off the reading the book, it's incredibly hard to like adapt it acting that wise because it starts off with him not knowing what he's doing there. Yeah, very impressive role. This was my personal number one.
Interesting. Already?
Yeah, I just really like his performance in it. I like a lot of his face acting that I see too many similarities after seeing Drive and Blade Runner, which is Blade Runner is going to be number one. Actually, let's do 5. Fall Guy at number 1, actually. Just
All
kidding.
right. All right. Keep it up, pal.
I just see really similarities between Blade Runner and Drive. And that's why I had them like right next to each other to where like there is face emotions with like really good at staring out. But I think he does this in good in Hail Mary with like showing a little bit more emotions, if that makes sense. That I think
Yeah.
he doesn't show in a lot of other films.
I think the beauty of Blade Runner 2049 is that the emotion is supposed to be kind of held in, right? Because he feels
Hmm.
like he's a robot and he's not supposed to be humanity. He's not supposed to symbolize humanity until he realizes that he can. And then that's when we see the real emotion coming out to him, laying on those steps, bleeding out. I think that's the beauty in his acting in that one. The range it shows, right?
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, his top 10 that we ranked was number 10, Crazy Stupid Love, 9, The Big Short, 8, The Place Beyond the Pines, number 7, Barbie, number 6, Drive, 5, Half Nelson, 4, Nice Guys, 3, La La Land, 2, Project Hail Mary, and 1, Blade Runner 2049. I think this was a good
Dang.
list in the way where we both didn't get exactly what we wanted, but it ended up coming together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was probably, I mean, it was a really good mix of what it sounds like our list were
Yeah, because
separately.
I think it sounds like our lists were like kind of all over the place when it came to the top 6.
Yeah, but I like it. I like our top 6.
Yeah. Two big exclusions of his work are Blue Valentine. We both haven't seen it yet. I heard it's really good. Lars and the Real Girl. I haven't seen it, but it's the one where he's like dating or like a doll. Quite an interesting film, I heard.
He's still a
That's so
liability at
awesome.
corner.
Yes. Remember the Titans wasn't brought up. And then obviously the Notebook, which I had a big say of that not being on there because it's right at 11 for me, but yeah, I have a problem with that film.
Yeah,
In
I was
general.
hoping his role in the 69-cent Taco Bell quesarito would get brought up, but
Yeah, sadly the Fall Guy wasn't brought up. We'll
let me
see
see
if
if I can find this.
we'll see if the new Star Wars film he's in at all. Like if that how good that is. It has really good potential with how he's been in Hail Mary, Blade Runner. Um yeah.
You
High
can't see it.
expectations of this. Let me see.
I'll add it in. You
Okay.
can't see it. I'll add it in post.
Shout out to that role. And then yeah, he's also doing a new movie, Love of Your Life. It's a romantic drama film. It stars, yeah, you're definitely going to see this. Oh, no, he's just a producer. But still, you'll probably see this because it stars Margaret Qualley and then Patrick Schwarzenegger, Arnold's son. And it also has Ariane Pierre, Gabriel Basso. But Ryan Gosling is producing the film. I thought he started it. And I was like, oh, dude, Ryan Gosling and Margaret Qualley, that's right up Justin's avenue right there.
Bang. Be barking 2 times.
Awesome. Well, thanks for listening this week. Hopefully you learned a little bit about Ryan Gosling and some of his earlier films. See you all next week.
See ya.